Hello there. Welcome to Breast Cancer Conversations. I'm your host, Karen Del Maestro, health coach, breast cancer survivor, and BRCA2 carrier. Thank you so much for joining me here today. So, in this episode, I want to talk about some of the things that I'm seeing with a lot of the breast cancer survivors that I'm talking to right now, and how October is not always easy. How seeing pink everywhere, not always easy. How seeing pink ribbons, not always easy. So this episode is for you if you are having a rough time right now. This episode is for you if you normally fly through October and don't even think of anything of it. But it's also for you if maybe you're somebody that's caring for a breast cancer survivor and part of their support system and wants to maybe understand a little bit more about what they may be dealing with right now and what they might not be talking about. So I remember, let's dive in. I remember my first October. I was actually diagnosed in July of 2018 with breast cancer, and shortly thereafter discovered that I had the BRCA2 gene. And so that first October, I had just gone through double mastectomy a couple of months prior. I was gearing up for another surgery. But I remember, honestly, just wanting to hide under a pillow. I am not somebody that typically feels anger. It's not an emotion that I, thankfully, have very often, but I felt angry. I remember that feeling so clearly. I just felt angry. I remember an absolute disdain for the color pink. I didn't like it at all. I remember every time I saw a pink ribbon, my heart rate would increase. And then I would feel guilty about feeling that way, right? So I wasn't sharing that with anybody. So this is kind of a secret between us. But here's the deal, and you may be feeling that, you may not. I am now obviously 2 years out from there, and I have to say, I now like pink, various shades. Seeing a pink ribbon does not upset me, but I'm speaking to so many people, especially this year, who are being really triggered by it. So I just want to really acknowledge it. And here's the deal, right? Whatever we're feeling at any point in time is always validated because it's how you feel. And nobody has the right to judge how you feel or tell you how to feel. How you feel is how you feel. And so one of the things that I want to make sure that you're allowing yourself to do, if you're realizing that emotions are coming up, maybe you don't like the word survivor, maybe you don't like the word breast cancer warrior or thriver or any of the labels, maybe you don't like those. So what I would say to that is, make sure that you are, number one, feeling all your feels and recognizing how you feel, whether these words are triggering things for you, whether the color pink is triggering something, or ribbons. Acknowledge how you feel. Either if you have somebody to talk to, by all means, talk it out with them. If you don't, and I think many of us don't, because often people that haven't been through this don't get it, and I'm going to share more about what to do about that as we go through the episode today. But this is where a journal comes in, or picking up your phone and simply writing some notes on your phone, whatever works for you. But studies have shown that when we get these feelings out of our body, rather than just sitting with them and stewing them, I have even, and this is one of my favorite things to do, is water is therapy for me. So I often will go and just sit by water and I will talk. And if people walk by, they probably think I'm going nuts, that I'm talking to myself. But I'm really just expressing how I'm feeling and letting things out and just validating that however you feel on any given day is okay. And I want you to really allow yourself to feel those feelings. I think so often, especially in society today, um, it's about keeping busy and doing things. And I do this because it's like we're on what I call the hamster wheel of life. Um, but instead of just keeping busy and numbing yourself and pushing those feelings down, taking the time to sit and validate them will serve you in the long term. Because when we push stuff down, and you may already know this, I suspect that you probably do, at some point it's going to explode like a volcano. And watch out for whoever is on the receiving end, because more often than not, whatever that action was, the reaction doesn't fit. And it's just because we've been bottling so much up. So that's number one. Feel the feels, all of them, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Recognize them, acknowledge them, validate them, and know that it's okay to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. Number two, what I want you to ask yourself is, if you find yourself being really impatient or snapping at people, just feeling super anxious and like on edge, like you're barely hanging on, I want you to think about what is being triggered. Okay. So often when our reaction doesn't match the action, it's because we're being triggered by something, often in our past. And it could be something like feeling out of control again, just like you did at the beginning of your breast cancer diagnosis, right? I did. Triggered with uncertainty. Who isn't triggered with that in the world right now? But that can also trigger how you felt at the beginning of your breast cancer journey. Is it triggering feelings of not wanting to be a burden? Is it triggering the feelings of fear, of recurrence, of feeling like you want to rest but you can't? Feeling like you're always being at somebody's beck and call and being pulled into a million different directions. And starting to feel maybe angry or frustrated or resentful because of those things. These are all real. And these can all be triggers. And they can be triggers from before your breast cancer diagnosis, for sure. But certainly many of these happen as we are diagnosed and continue to be triggers moving forward if we don't start to acknowledge them and recognize them and do something about it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So feel free to reach out to me. Let me know if you realize that you're being triggered. Comment below this where you're seeing this video. Let me know. Because what I want you to know more than anything is that you are not alone. You're not. I've been triggered with various things this month. It's a challenging month for me, honestly, personally. My younger brother, just passed away almost a year ago. So, tough month, right? Plus the pink, plus the ribbons, plus all of this. Now, my perspective now on all of that, as you've seen, I shared I was super angry, didn't want to see pink ribbons anywhere. But what I've realized now is that so many people around us, and so many people, whether they're in part of our care team, whether they're friends, whether they're just people on the outside looking in, wanting to share support for people that are going through breast cancer. And I say people because, yes, 99% are women, but there is also a 1% of men going through breast cancer too, which you may or may not have realized. So now I look at these pink ribbons. Now I look at this month of October as truly sharing support and awareness. Do we have to be careful of pink washing? Yeah, I think so. And it's a shame that there are companies who just look to make money from something that is so serious and so rampant. It's a shame that there has to be people out there just trying to make money on that. So be careful if you're purchasing something that is saying that they're giving money back to a breast cancer foundation or charity or something like that. You want to make sure that they legitimately are. That's why for me personally, I like to support local groups. And I actually work with a local charity called Northwest Hope and Healing. They're here in the Seattle, Washington area. And they actually literally give people going through breast cancer and gynecological cancers, they actually physically give them money to pay for rent and food and childcare as people are going through their treatments. The basic needs that so often we just don't even consider. So you may find that finding a local charity is actually going to be something that you can get more involved with and really feel like you're making a difference. So that's one of the things that I enjoy about being involved with Northwest Hope and Healing. I get to see exactly where the work, where the money, where everything goes, and how it really helps people. So just be aware of that if you are looking to support a breast cancer organization. So the third thing that I wanted to share with you today, as we're talking about this disease and the month of October and often that feeling, I think so often, especially as we're coming to the end of treatment and looking into, what's next, it can feel very disconcerting and discombobulating, right? It's like suddenly you've been nurtured and you've got this safety net of your medical team here, and then you're hearing the words, see you in 3 to 6 months, and you're like, what? What am I supposed to do now? So at any point in your journey, but especially at this point, I want you to know that I am here to support you. And whether you are talking to a coach like me, a therapist, whether you found an amazing support group, or whether you want to join my Facebook group called Healthy Living After Breast Cancer. It's a free Facebook group where we talk about life after cancer and staying healthy and reducing risk factors and all of this stuff. Amazing, amazing community of phenomenal women, just like you, who've been through so much. So I want you to make sure that you're feeling your feelings, number one. Number two, that everything that you're feeling is okay. Everything that you're feeling is okay. And that try to take note if your reaction to something seems, you step back afterwards and you're like, did I overreact there? If you're questioning yourself with that, I invite you to look for a trigger. What was it about what just happened that triggered this reaction? Because when we start to recognize these triggers, then we can start to minimize the reaction so that we're not just exploding like that volcano. So that's number two, okay? Number three, make sure that you have a support system. Breast cancer can be a very, very lonely disease. And that may sound weird, especially if you're a caregiver. You're like, but I've been there, I've been helping, and I can tell you, I have, and I am so fortunate and grateful. I have the most amazing support system. My husband, my daughter, my son, my extended family, all absolutely amazing. Amazing. But they, thankfully, have not gone through breast cancer. They don't know how it feels when you see a lump or feel a lump and your thought goes to the worst case scenario until you train it not to. They can't understand that because they haven't been there. And that's why it is so crucially important to have your support system, whether it's great friends and family, Some of them can be super supportive. Some of them are just not going to get it. Not their fault. I'm not placing blame. How can they? Right? It's kind of the same thing I used to say when I went through my divorce years ago. Like, people that haven't been through a divorce can't get it. And it's not that you wish this on them. You don't want them to get it, but they can't. They just can't. There's certain things in life that unless you go through it, you cannot understand the emotions and everything that can go on. It's not to say I understand everything, right? I'm not in your shoes. I'm not living your life. But do I understand a lot? Yes, because of the amazing conversations that I have with the breast cancer survivors in my Facebook community, right? It's exclusively for breast cancer survivors. It's healthy living after breast cancer. And I'll make sure that you have a link to this group so that if you want to hop on over, you can join. Okay. So I see that we have a couple of people on with us today. Does anybody have any questions or comments even about October and how it is for you? Are you finding it challenging? Are you flying through it? It's different for everybody. There's no right, there's no wrong. If anybody would like to share their own experience right now, feel free. Go ahead, just pop it into the comments. Put in your first name first so I know who's on. And if you have any questions about how to deal with this, feel free to go ahead and ask. I know there's always a slight delay, so I want to give it some time. But like I said, I do see that there's a couple of people on today, so which is always awesome. No questions, no comments. Feeling good about October and breast cancer awareness or feeling challenged? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Okay, there's nothing coming through. Everybody's just chilling today. It's kind of a chill day. It's rainy and everything here in the Pacific Northwest. So it is kind of that chill day with a blanket and a book and a cup of tea. And hopefully I'll have time for that later today. So I'm going to wrap things up for now if there's no questions. Feel free, though, to reach out via personal message, DM, comments under this. But hop on over if you're a breast cancer survivor looking to stay healthy and reduce your risk of recurrence and be supported by a group of women who get it. Please come on over and join us in Healthy Living After Breast Cancer. It's a Facebook community, and we're there to welcome you with open arms. So bye for now, everybody. I will see you next week for Breast Cancer Conversations. I'm Karen Del Maestro. You can find me over at www.Karen, Karin, delmaestro.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.